You holding this hearing. Tomorrow's National Maritime Day, a day to celebrate, us, United States of America, as a great maritime nation. However, that news hasn't penetrated, apparently, to this administration or the White House. As I look at the collective budget requests for the three federal agencies responsible for oversight, regulation, and promotion of U.S. maritime, Coast Guard, Maritime Administration, FMC, there's not much to celebrate there. The administration has talked a lot about our competitiveness and trade and those things, but undermining these institutions. Have also talked a lot about drugs and drug smuggling, national security, and undermining the Coast Guard is not going to deliver on those goals. The Coast Guard went through a series of cuts because of the Budget Control Act, and finally Congress has begun to make up with some of that deficit. But the submission by the the Trump budget submitted to Congress would lower Coast Guard 10% below 19. And that's after the Coast Guard didn't get paid during the stupid shutdown, the only military service not to get paid. So I'd say these additional proposed cuts are disrespectful at best. As I mentioned before, there's been a lot of concern about drug smuggling. We had intel from the retired commandant last year or the year before last in Senate testimony that we can ID 80% of the actionable, with intelligence, actionable drug shipments, but we can only intercept 20 because the Coast Guard doesn't have the resources. So the Trump administration is going to take care of that problem. They're going to send coasties to the desert border. What a great idea. So I will have some questions about that. I'm also disappointed in the cuts for MARAD, 39%, zero out port infrastructure development grants, small shipyard grants, which help keep us competitive, a vital component of keeping a domestic U.S. shipbuilding interest industry, particularly in light of the communist Chinese government shipbuilding interests, which are trying to compete. There's a little bit of good news, a small increase for the Federal Maritime Commission. Last year, we refocused them on these carrier alliance agreements, and there's a lot of work to be done there, so they will need that money and perhaps more. So this budget is a disappointment, but let's use this hearing to constructively critique and encourage our colleagues to allocate more adequate resources to each of these agencies in the coming budget year. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.